What's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you are the estate of Biggie Smalls, you are coming out and you are calling Kirk Burrows, that has handwritten notes from 20 years ago, a liar about Diddy, about Biggie paying for his own funeral because you have receipts that Bad Boy paid for it. To which I said, do you guys understand what recoup is and what they said that Diddy actually did? And let me just say anything. For anybody literally masquerading as a journalist, do better. Learn what terms mean. Learn what recoup means. Do some research. I mean, for God's sakes, I can understand somebody calling in to the Breakfast Club and just saying something. All the Breakfast Club does is just repeat things people say. They are a platform. I'm talking about to the journalists that picked this up and ran with it as if this person wasn't compromised, as if this person was telling the truth, and even if he was, thought he was telling the truth, how what he's saying still doesn't prove that Kirk Burrows was lying. And also, the number one reason that makes me think this is all cap is Diddy is desperate to sue Netflix. He's desperate to sue Kirk Burrows. He's desperate to sue everybody that sat down. He wants that money from the Netflix money. If he had any proof that he did not screw Biggie over with recoupment, we're going to explain what that is later and why this exposes the whole lie. If he could prove that Kirk Burrows was lying, that Bad Boy was, he would be suing right now. He would, but he's not. And that tells you something, but let's keep going. Let's actually play this. Hold on.
Alrighty, y'all. So yesterday I was able to speak to Wayne Burrows, who worked with Miss Violetta Wallace, who is the mother of Biggie Smalls and managing her son's estate. Now he reached out to me, or I reached out to him, and then he was like, okay, I'm willing to get on the phone with you because he says that a lot of people have been blowing them up following this documentary. And he wanted to speak out, and he made it clear that this is on behalf of Miss Violetta Wallace. He says there are a few.
First of all, isn't Viola? Hold on a second. Okay, off the bat, I'm side-eyeing this because he says it's on behalf of Violetta Wallace, Biggie's mom. And I'm like, she passed away tragically February 21st, 2025. So while you're saying it's on her behalf, I mean, do we have proof of it? You might be managing her estate. That doesn't mean you know all the tea. It doesn't mean you know how she felt. But you know what? That said, let's get back into this.
Two allegations that he wanted to address from the doc. So number one, there's this allegation from the documentary that Diddy used Biggie's record label deal, or his own money, Biggie's own money, to pay for Biggie's funeral. So Wayne tells me that that is completely not true, that he himself officiated the funeral and planned it along with Kirk Burrows, who is in the documentary, Bad Boy staff, and that Bad Boy paid for everything. At no point was there any indication that on any royalty statement that this would be coming from Biggie's account. So the family never paid for anything in regards to the funeral. He said Bad Boy and Diddy covered everything from the cars to the police to the funeral itself, and they wanted to make that clear. And he also says that it's disrespectful that anybody would even imply that, you know, Miss Wallace, Biggie's mom, or any of his close friends would even be that naive to allow something like that to happen and not catch it as they're watching the royalty statements and just different things that are coming in.
Okay, first of all, because let me break this down to you, because I'm tired of people letting Diddy play in their face. I don't know if this man's compromised or if he's telling it from his heart, but you are wrong, because he didn't say it was from Biggie's estate. He said it was from his recoup. Do you guys know what recoup is? One, Kirk Burrows is testifying up and down that Diddy and Bad Boy were doing something funny with people's paperwork. That's the way Diddy worked. He ain't care. Second of all, you don't understand what recoup is. Of course there wouldn't be anything on the royalties. Of course there wouldn't be anything on the estate, because listen to what happens. Okay, I'm back because I had to talk to a entertainment lawyer. Hold on, but I got much, right? They said, I was like, it's recoup. They're like, first of all, T, in the music industry, the word you're looking for is recoupment. Recoupment means the label's money fronts money for an artist, but the money is not a gift. The label takes it back from the artist's earnings before the artist sees a single dollar. You could not see royalties until the recoupment was paid. Listen to this. Examples of recoupable expenses: recording sessions, music videos, travel, glam, swag, promotions, advances, even legal fees. And yes, sometimes funerals if the label chooses to pay for it. This explains why the label got a check from Bad Boy. That's how recruitment works, but it's not over. And also, Kirk Burrows just stood up there saying that Diddy was doing all this shady shit. And yes, Kirk was going along with it, right? And standing up when he could, whatever. But the fact that, like, what's not clicking to you? That you're standing on business. Let me stop. Anyway, so what happens with the funeral? If Bad Boy paid for Biggie's funeral, that cost could be paid up front by the label. That explains why Kirk Burrows was working with them, planning and everything. But how are you calling the person that did the back end a liar? Anyway, right? But it could very well be charged back to Biggie's estate through recoupment, meaning the label cut the check, but later took the cost out of the artist's money. So when people say that Diddy recouped the expenses for Biggie's funeral, they're asking, did Bad Boy pay for the funeral and then deduct that cost from Biggie's earnings rather than paying it as a true expense from the label? However, I said, oh, okay, so then they would have saw it? And they're like, nah, Tisa. This is how recoupment screws artists. Let's say the label spends $5 million up front on an artist, advances $1 million. Let's say they get $1 million in advance. Recording and videos and promo, let's just say they spend $3 million. Funeral costs, let's just say the funeral is $250K. And music and miscellaneous plus lawyers, $750K. That means the total spent is $5 million. Remember how they were like, we checked his royalties and there was nothing out of his royalties. Listen to this. The artist does not start getting royalties until the label has earned back the full $5 million from the artist's music. So the label can literally say, we gave you everything you owe us. While the artist dies broke on paper, yet their music is making millions, okay? So why bring Diddy up specifically? Diddy is known for taking high percentages, aggressive recoupment, controlling publishing catalogs, and artists making very little money despite huge success. So people have a right to suspect, and Kirk Burrows says he can confirm, Bad Boy did pay for Diddy's funeral with Biggie's own money, even if the optics look generous. And again, what did he say? What did he say? We saw the royalties. There was nothing taken out of his royalties. You don't understand how recruitment works. You don't even get a dime of royalties until you pay back everything else. So the royalties you were looking at already remind us a bunch of fees and expenses that you know nothing about. Moreover, the bottom line, they said, listen, Tisa, the bottom line is recoupment equals label loans and artists repay that through their own earnings. However, they don't get a dime of royalties so recoupment is off the top and then the estate gets paid royalties. That's why you're never going to see it taken out of his royalties. So when someone says they recoup the funeral expenses, they mean they charge the funeral to the artist like a business expense, which is morally ugly but legally common in old school record world. Again, more importantly, and this is the part that really gets me, again, Bad Boy paid for everything at no point. Wayne also said that he and Miss Wallace reviewed every royalty statement that came together up until the day she passed. Funeral expenses it would never be in the royalty expenses. It would never. Once recoupment is paid, then you start giving royalty. It is the bane of every artist's decision. And that's why when, Lauren was reading this, DJ Envy was just sitting there looking very disgusted and sad because at the end of the day, they all know how recruitment works and they all know what a scam it is. He also alleges that they weren't Biggie and Diddy contract beats at the time of Biggie's passing. Life after death was recouped. Life after death was recouped. What does that mean? What does that mean? Life after death was recouped. And I just explained to you with recruitment. It means that Biggie got nothing from life after death. And they said Wayne Burrows says he can't speak much on the Rolling Stone Biggie and Puff cover drama story from the Netflix doc, but he can say there was never a Rolling Stone cover presented to Biggie's team that he's aware of. Again, the wording, because they took it to Puff. They bought it to Puff. They didn't bring it to Biggie's estate. They bought it to Puff. Remember Biggie's best friend? Let me just say this, right? I get the fact that Breakfast Club is mouthpieces, but the journalists, the newspapers, the articles that actually paid this up, you have a responsibility to at least tell people what recruitment is and how this guy from the Biggies, he's probably telling the truth as he knows it, but it doesn't seem like he understands for recruitment. It doesn't seem like he understands the game that's played. And you know the last thing I am going to say that everybody needs to be aware of, Diddy is so happy right now. He wants to get that document pulled down. He wants to sue people that sat down that documentary. He wants. If Diddy could pull out proof that he 100% paid for Biggie's funeral and didn't recoup the costs, he would do it. He would do it. If he could pull out proof that he never stole Biggie's cover, he would do it. He's desperate to discredit that documentary. And the fact that he got Biggie's estate manager, he got this, he got that. The fact that and also, I want to know his relationship. How did he come to Miss Wallace? Did he come by way of Diddy? At this point, everything's on the table. But my point of the matter is, right? Diddy would do it. And the fact that Diddy is staying quiet and letting like cat's paws speak and letting surrogates speak, but he's not suing, he's not pulling out receipts, it lets me know that Kirk Burrows is probably telling the truth. And Kirk Burrows' handwritten notes are telling the truth. Because if Kirk Burrows was lying, Diddy would be threatening to sue. Diddy would already throw this in his lawsuit against Netflix because he's threatening to sue. Diddy will be doing all this stuff. Instead, he's being quiet and all these people are coming out, playing with words and passing along things that don't even make sense. I stand with Kirk Burrows. I believe he's telling the truth. Until Diddy comes out with proof that Kirk Burrows is lying, I don't want to hear it from anybody else. I really don't. Because at this point, everybody around Diddy is compromised. Everybody. They all have a vested interest. They all have a vested interest. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.